We asked ChatGPT, Perplexity, Gemini, and Claude a simple question over and over in city after city. We asked them who the best lawyer is across 25 practice areas, and we read about 38,000 real answers to see who the AI tools were sending people to. And here's why that should matter to you before we go one word forward. Someone in your market got hurt this week, or they got arrested, or they decided to leave their spouse. And a growing number of those people, they didn't call a friend and they didn't open Google. They opened an AI tool and they typed in their problem and they asked it, who should I hire? That tool gave them a name, maybe three names, and most of them called one of those names. And if your law firm and name wasn't the answer, you lost the case. You never actually knew the case existed, and your phone just didn't ring, and you had no idea that it was supposed to. I want you to feel how different that is. Picture the two versions of losing. The old version, a prospect calls, you talk, they pick someone else. It stings, but you were in it. You had a shot. You learned who beat you and why. The new version, there's no call at all. A stranger describes their worst day to an AI, and the AI says a name that wasn't yours. And the whole thing happened in a window you'll never see. There's no sting, there's no lesson, just a case that quietly went to someone else while you were doing something entirely different. That's the part that keeps me up at night. The old way, when you lost a case, you at least got the call. You gave the quote, they went with someone cheaper, maybe, or who they felt would help them more, but you learned something. Now the loss is silent. A robot had a conversation about your practice area, and it picked somebody else, and you were never in the room. So we wanted to know how different this is really happening. Not guess, but actually measure. So we ran those 38,000 queries through the four biggest AI tools, 15 cities, 25 practice areas. Real questions, the kind a scared person actually types at 11 o'clock at night. Three of the four named a specific law firm almost every single time. ChatGPT, Perplexity, and Claude, they put a real firm's name in the answer about 99% of the time. Let that sit with you for a second. 99%. Not sometimes, not when the question was easy, almost always. You ask the AI who the best injury lawyer in your city is, and it will confidently hand over a name. It does not shrug. It does not say, I can't recommend anyone. It picks. Gemini was the one holdout from Google. It named a firm only about 13% of the time. But Gemini is the exception, and betting your firm's future on the one tool that stays quiet, that's not a plan. And there's a wrinkle that makes this worse, not better. The tools don't agree with each other. When we compared the firms each tool named city by city, the overlap between them was tiny, like around 6%. Think what that means. The firm that ChatGPT loves in your city is almost never the same firm Perplexity loves. Winning one tool does not win the others. So you can be the top answer on one and completely absent on the next. And I'll tell you, most law firms have no idea where they stand on any of them. So you don't have one referral AI to win. You have four of them, each running its own popularity contest, each with its own memory of your market. Now, I know the pushback because I hear it from law firm owners every week. That's not how people find me. My clients come from referrals, from my reputation, from 20 years of being the guy people know. Look, I believe you. That's real, and we're going to spend a lot of time on exactly how reputation in this series matters more than it ever did. But I want you to think about who's doing the asking now. Your best referral source used to be a person, a past client at a barbecue, a chiropractor down the street, a cousin who knew a guy. That person heard, "I need a lawyer," and said your name because they trusted you. The AI is now that person, except it talks to thousands of people a day and it never sleeps and it has never met you. It's making the same referral your best client used to make, except it's making it about your whole market all day, 24/7, whether you like it or not. And here's the uncomfortable question. When that AI gets asked about your practice area in your city, does it say your name? Because if it doesn't, someone worse than you is getting your cases, not a better lawyer, a better known one, a name that the AI ran into more often in more places, so it felt safer repeating. And I want to be careful here because it would be easy to walk away from this thinking the answer is some new software trick. It isn't. The AI isn't impressed by a fancy website. It isn't counting how clever your homepage sounds. It's counting something much older than AI. It's counting whether the rest of the world already treats you like the real deal. We'll get to that exactly what it counts in the next part of this series, because that's where this stops being scary and starts being something you can actually do something about. The signals the AI reads are signals you already know how to build. You've been building some of them for years without knowing they had a second job. So for now, I want you to sit with the shift. The front door to your firm used to be your phone number and your website. Then for 20 years, it was your ranking on Google. Now there's a new front door and an AI is standing in it, deciding who gets to walk through. So here's the last thing to understand before we move on. This is not a problem you can wait on. Every one of those tools is getting more popular, not less. More of your future clients open one of them first every single month. The share of people who ask an AI before they ask a human only goes up from here, which means the silent losses only add up faster. The cases you never heard about, the consoles that went to a name the AI trusted more than yours. You won't see them on a report. You'll just feel it, a slow, quiet drop in calls you can't explain, while a competitor you know, who can outlawyer somehow, stays busy. It made a decision about your market today. You just weren't told what it is. That's what's happening with AI search and people looking for lawyers right now. We asked ChatGPT, Perplexity, Gemini, and Claude who the best lawyer is across 15 cities and 25 practice areas. And then we read all 38,000 real answers. In the last video, we found that 3 of those 4 name a specific firm almost every time. Now, we're going after the harder question. Why those firms? And here's why you should care before we get into the actual how. Right now, there's a lawyer in your city who's not as good as you. They've got a worse trial record, weaker results. But when someone asks the AI for the best lawyer in your practice area, it says his name and not yours. And I'm guessing you can't figure out why, because on paper, you should win. So I'm going to tell you why he wins. And once you hear this, you're not going to forget it. The AI is not judging you the way a client judges you. A client looks at your face, your confidence, how you make them feel in a consult. The AI can't do any of that. It has never sat across a table from you. So it does the only thing it can do. It looks for proof that you're real. Think about how a careful person acts when someone asks them to vouch for a stranger. If your neighbor asked you to recommend a contractor and you're not sure, you don't just blurt out a name and risk your neighbor's kitchen. You reach for the guy 3 different people already told you were good. You want backup before you put your own credibility on the line. The AI works exactly like that neighbor, except it's cautious at a scale you can't imagine. It's about to put its own reputation behind a law firm's name in front of a stranger on the most important decision that person might make all year. So it wants backup. It wants to see that other trusted voices already said your name first. And it's not real like you exist. It's real like you're established. Real like other trusted places already point at you and say, yeah, that law firm, they're legit. The AI is basically a nervous fact checker. It does not want to hand a stranger a name and be wrong. So it reaches for the name that the rest of the internet already agrees on. We saw this in the data clear as day. When we looked at where Perplexity pulled its answers from, it cited a directory in about 96% of the time. Not a law firm's own website, a directory, a third party. Somewhere your name sits next to 1,000 other attorneys and a rating. I'll tell you, two directories kept showing up. Super lawyers turned up in about 16% of all the citations we counted. Justia, about 13%. Those are the places the AI goes to check its work before it says your name out loud. So sit with me for a second to understand what that means. The AI is not reading your beautiful homepage and deciding you're the best. It's checking whether the places it already trusts have vouched for you. Your website is talking about yourself. A directory listing, a review, a mention in a local paper, that's someone else talking about you. And the AI will always trust someone else. This is the whole ballgame. So let me make it really clear. The AI does not reward the best website. It rewards the most vouched for law firm. I learned this lesson the hard way in a different life long before AI. Years ago, I watched a company pour a fortune into the most gorgeous website in their category. I'm talking slick, it was fast, every word was perfect, and they got beaten in search by an uglier competitor who had one thing they didn't. Everyone else already linked to that competitor. The web had voted, and no amount of pretty could outvote it. Same rule now, just a new judge. There's an order to this that most firms get backwards. They think the game is relevance. Say the right words, mention the right practice area, stuff the right city into the right pages, and the AI will find you relevant and pick you. Well, relevance is not the problem. You are relevant. You're a real lawyer in a real city doing real work. The AI can tell you're relevant in about half a second. What it can't tell is whether you have authority. Are you a name it can stand behind? That's the real question, and authority comes first. Relevance gets you into the pool of possible answers. Authority is what makes the AI pull your name out of the pool and actually say it. Authority before relevance. Get that backwards, and you'll spend a year perfecting words nobody's thinking about while your competitor quietly stacks up the proof that actually moves the needle. Now, here's the good news, and it's the reason that I'm making these videos. Authority is not a software setting. You can't just buy it in a box. It's built out of 100 small signals that say the same thing over and over. This firm is real. This firm is trusted. This firm is woven into this place. Reviews are one of those signals. Directory listings are one too. Local links are one. Mentions, photos, write-ups. Your firm's name showing up in enough corners of the web that the pattern becomes undeniable to AI. Each one is a tiny vote. The AI counts votes. So let me make that concrete because signal is a slippery word. Say you sponsor a program that the local police department runs for kids over the summer. You show up, you help, and you ask the city to link to your firm from their website. Now, your name sits on a government website, one of the most trusted kinds of sites there are. The single link tells the AI something you could never convincingly say about yourself. It says a serious, established institution vouched for your law firm. You didn't write that, the city did. That's why it counts. Your homepage saying, "We're the best," is worth almost nothing to the AI. A trusted outside source pointing at you is worth a great deal. One is a claim, the other is proof. And every one of those votes traces back to something you do in the real world. That's the bridge, and it's where we're headed for the rest of this series. The lawyer everyone knows in town has been casting these votes for years. He just called it community work. He called it referrals. He called it staying in touch. He never knew he was also teaching an AI to trust him. So the question from part 1 has an answer now. The AI picks the most vouched for name. The lawyer who wins is not the best writer or best marketer. He's the one the rest of the world already agrees on, which means the real work was never convincing the AI. It was becoming the kind of law firm the AI has no choice but to believe in. We asked ChatGPT, Perplexity, Gemini, and Claude who the best lawyer is across 15 cities and 25 practice areas. And then we read the 38,000 answers to see who the AI tools recommended. We found they picked the most vouched for name, the law firm that the rest of the world already agrees on. Now, we're going to start building that agreement, one signal at a time, starting with the cheapest and most ignored one of all. Here's the stakes before the how. You have already done the work to earn a client's trust. You won their case. You changed their year. And then for most law firms, that relationship goes dark. You move on to the next file. They move on with their life. And the goodwill you earned, the goodwill that could vote for you 100 times over, just evaporates. Let me tell you a story about the lawyer who got forgotten. A man gets rear-ended. He hires a lawyer. The lawyer does a great job, settles the case, everyone's happy. Then, nothing. No card, no email, no check-in, and 5 years goes by. The man gets into another car accident. He wants to hire the same attorney, the good one, the one who took care of him, and he can't remember the law firm or attorney's name. He can't even find the phone number, nothing. He does find an old file in a drawer 6 months later, but by then, he already hired someone else down the street. That lawyer didn't lose the second case because he was bad. He lost it because he went silent. He let a client who loved him forget he existed. And here's the thing that drives me crazy. That second case was the easiest one he ever could get. Warm client, already trusted him, already knew he did good work. It was his to lose, and he lost it to silence. He didn't get outworked or outspent. He just wasn't there when it counted because he stopped being there at all. Now, here's what almost nobody connects. The same silence is invisible to AI too. A client who stays connected leaves a trail. They post the 5-star review. They tag you. They reply to your newsletter. They mention you when a friend asks. Every one of those is a vote the AI counts. A client who disappears leaves nothing. No trail, no votes, no proof you were ever the one who helped. Staying top of mind is not just good manners. It's how you turn a one-time win into a signal that keeps working for years. So here's the move, and it's almost embarrassingly simple. Get everyone into a database. Every client, every person who ever sent you a referral, every professional partner, every person you shook hands with at a community event. all of them into one list. This doesn't take fancy software. A basic email tool most firms can run for the price of a couple of coffees a month. Then actually use it. Once a month, you show up in their inbox, not with a hard sell, with something human. A quick answer to a question people ask you all the time. A heads up about a law that changed. A holiday note. Anything that says the firm is still here and we still care. I know how this sounds. Too small to matter. A newsletter isn't going to win you a trial. But think about the compounding effect. Send that note every month for a year. And when one of those people gets hurt, or their brother does, or their coworker does, your name is right there at the top of the inbox. You never got forgotten. You never became that guy in the drawer. And here's the part the old timers never saw coming. When you make it easy and normal to stay connected, you make it easy and normal for people to leave reviews, reply publicly, and mention you online. The database keeps you top of mind with humans is the database that keeps feeding your name into the places that AI reads. So let me give you the highest value version of this, the closed case follow-up. See, a month after a case wraps, you reach out, not asking for anything at first. You thank them. Maybe you send something small, a token that shows you meant it. Then, while the good feeling is fresh, you make one clear ask. Would you share your experience in a review? And you make it really easy. You send the link, the exact link, one tap so they can leave the review. That review is not just social proof for the next nervous client reading your website at midnight. It's a permanent, public, third-party vote that the AI can find and count. You did great work, so you earned the right to ask. Most lawyers just never ask. Multiply that across every happy client you've ever had and never followed up with. That's not a marketing tactic you're missing. That's a pile of votes you left on the table. Let me give you two more ways to keep that trial alive, because the monthly email is just the floor. The first is physical mail. I know it sounds ancient, and that's exactly why it works. Almost nobody gets real mail anymore. So when a card shows up, a birthday note, a holiday card, a handwritten thank you, it stands out in a way no email ever will. It costs a stamp. It lands on a kitchen counter where the whole family sees it, and it says something a mass email can't. It says you thought about them and only them. The second is the get-together. Once a quarter, once a year, throw something small. A cookout, a pizza night. Invite your past clients, your referral partners, anyone who ever sent you a case. You're not selling anything. You're just being a real presence in their life. The people that people talk about. The real thing that's happening every day that maybe you're not doing. I'll tell you, a firm that brings people together is a firm that stays known. And a firm that stays known keeps showing up in the places that vote. So the first signal is the one hiding in plain sight. The clients who already love you. Stay in front of them and stay in front of their world. Go silent, and you become a name in a drawer that nobody, human or AI, can really remember. The lawyer who got forgotten had everything he needed to win the second case. He already earned it. He just stopped showing up, and the trust he built quietly rotted away. Don't earn the trust and then walk away from it. Keep it working. It's the cheapest advantage you'll ever have, and almost every law firm throws it away. Ask ChatGPT, Perplexity, Gemini, and Claude who the best attorney is across 15 cities and 25 practice areas. And then we read 38,000 answers. The AI tool picks the most vouched for name. And in the last part, we started earning those votes from the clients who already love you. Now we're going to go outside the client base into the community where the biggest and most durable signals live. Here's why this one matters more than it looks. Your competitor is not spending more on ads than you. He's not smarter than you, but his name is showing up in places yours isn't. On a nonprofit's website, in the local paper, tagged at the town festival, linked from a city page, and every one of those places is quietly telling the AI he's a real, established, trusted part of this community while you stay invisible. Let me start with the mistake I see law firms make constantly. They write a check to sponsor something. They show up once and they think the marketing is done. It isn't. Showing up once buys you a logo on a banner nobody screenshots. The value isn't the check. The value is what the check can get you if you ask for the right thing. Here's the rule I want burned into your brain. If you write a check, get a link. You sponsor the youth sports program? Ask them to link to your firm from their website. You back the food drive, the parade, the summer camp run by the police department? Ask for the link. A lot of these local groups have websites that AI already trusts, some of them on city or government domains, and a link from one of those is worth more to your authority than 100 things you say about yourself. You see, like most lawyers sponsor things all year and never once asked for the link. They paid for the vote and then never collected it. Now, let's talk about how you pick what to back, because this is where it gets fun. Find the thing your future clients are unreasonably obsessed with and hitch your wagon to it. Not what you think is respectable, what they actually love. The local team, a festival the whole town shuts down for. Maybe there's a weird event that draws exactly the kind of people who would hire you. When you plant your flag next to the thing they love, some of that loyalty rubs off on you. I know a lawyer who figured out that a small local event, the kind that happens in a high school gym, had no sponsor. He grabbed it, not because it was glamorous, because the people who showed up were exactly his future clients and nobody else was talking to them there. He became the name attached to a thing they cared about. That's the whole play. And here's the discipline part. It only works if you keep showing up. You cannot buy your way in with one check and disappear. The relationship that turns into referrals and reviews and mentions get built by showing back up. Same event next year, same faces again. The repetition is what turns a sponsor into a fixture. And a fixture is what the community talks about. And what the community talks about is what ends up online. The second half of this is your professional partners. And this is the closest thing to free money in legal marketing. Every week, I bet you sit down with people who can send you clients. The chiropractor, the accountant, the lawyer in a practice area you don't cover. 2 coffees a week. One with someone you already know, one with someone new. That's it. That's all I'm asking. A guy who's built his whole thing on this says, do these basic things and you can add $500,000 in revenue. I believe it because a referral partner is a warm introduction. The trust is already handled before the client ever calls you. And same as everything else in this series, it pays twice. When you and a referral partner cross-promote, mention each other, tag each other, share each other's content, you're not just trading clients. You're each planting the other's name in a new corner of the web. 2 names showing up together in more places. And AI notices patterns like that. But a referral partnership is not built in one coffee. This is the part people rush and ruin. You don't walk into a networking group, hand out business cards, and walk out with referrals. You build the relationship first, and it takes months, 6 to 12 months, maybe, honestly, before the real business actually starts flowing. So you do the one-to-ones. You sit down with people one at a time and you actually get to know them. Not their business first, them, where they're from, their family, what they do on the weekend, what they're worried about, and keep track of it. When you remember that someone's kid just started going to college or that they're training for a marathon, you stop being a name on a business card and you start being a person they trust. Here's the small thing that makes the whole first meeting easier, because I know walking up to a stranger at an event is nobody's favorite thing to do. Have a couple of easy questions ready. Where are you from? Tell me about your family. Any trips coming up? You're not interrogating anyone. You're just giving them an easy on-ramp to talk. And people remember the person who made them feel comfortable in a room full of strangers. If you do that consistently with the right people, and the group stops being a room of acquaintances and becomes a network that sends you work, that's what's going to happen. And when you talk about yourself online and they're talking about you, they're going to tag you. They'll recommend you in a group, and that trust becomes a signal too. So let me tie the two halves together because they're really one motion. Community sponsorship gets your name on trusted local websites and into the local conversation. Professional partnerships get your name onto other credible players' platforms and into their networks. Both put you in places you don't control, said by people who aren't you. That's exactly the kind of proof that AI was hunting for back in video number 2. So here's the reframe I want to leave you with. Every community check you write is a chance to earn a link. Every coffee is a chance to earn a mention. Every sponsorship is a chance to become a name the town and AI keeps running into. The lawyer who wins this isn't the one with the biggest ad budget. He's the one who understands that being woven into a place leaves a trail, and that trail is the asset. So stop writing checks and walking away. Start writing checks and collecting what they're actually worth. We asked ChatGPT, Perplexity, Gemini, and Claude who the best attorney is across 15 different cities and 25 practice areas. We then read 38,000 real answers. The AI tools recommended the most vouched for name, and we've been earning those votes from clients and from the community. Now we're going to get to the two signals you have the most control over: your merch and your own name, and why most law firms get both completely wrong. So here's the situation. Your name could be traveling around your city right now on people's chests, in their photos, in their posts for almost nothing. Instead, it's sitting in a closet because somewhere along the way, you ordered 500 pens and 200 cheap shirts with the firm's name blasted across the front. You handed them out and you watched every single one disappear into a junk drawer. Let me say the hard thing first. Nobody wants to wear your firm's name. I don't care how proud you are of your logo. A shirt that says Smith & Smith Attorneys at Law in big letters is a shirt that gets worn to bed and nowhere else. Your mom might wear it. Your kids, under protest, of course. Nobody at the tailgate is putting that on. So here's the whole secret to merch. Give people something they actually want to wear. That means the firm's name is not the point of the shirt. The point is something people think is cool. A sharp local design, a line that makes people laugh, your team's colors, something with a little attitude that a stranger sees and says, wait, what does that say? One firm I know figured this out cold. Their shirt doesn't lead with the firm's name. The front has a punchy line that gets a reaction. The back has the brand. So a stranger reads the front, laughs, and asks about it. Now the person wearing it gets to explain, which means your client is doing your pitch for you in a conversation you're not even in. That's the move. The shirt starts the conversation, the person wearing it finishes it. Now, here's a trick that costs you nothing extra. Make the merch in your local team's colors. You don't have to pay millions to sponsor the actual team. You just make good-looking gear in the colors people already wear with pride, and now they've got a place to wear it. The tailgate, the game, the whole city dressed in those colors, and some of them wearing yours. Now, connect that to what this means, and that's what this series is about. Every time someone wears that shirt in public, your name travels. But it doesn't just travel through the air. It gets photographed. It shows up in someone's post from the game. It gets tagged at the event. Merch people love to wear merch that ends up online over and over in places that they didn't have to pay for. Each photo is one small vote that your firm is a real law firm that people are talking about. Cheap merch with your name on the front creates nothing. Good merch with a great design creates a trail. Same budget, completely different result. So let's talk about the second signal, the one with your name literally in it, your personal brand. Here's the mistake. Firms think building a brand means a big, expensive production and a fancy agency. So they never start and their name stays quiet. The truth is smaller and more doable. Put out one piece of content a week. That's the whole discipline. One. The easiest version? Answer one real client question on video. The stuff people ask you in every single consult. Do I need a lawyer if a rideshare hit me? How much does an uncontested divorce cost? You already know the answers cold. Say them to a camera for 2 minutes. Then you spread that one piece everywhere. The video goes on your social profiles. It gets cut into post. It lands on every platform where your future clients spend time. One recording, many places. You're not creating 10 things a week. You're creating one thing and letting it show up in 10 places. And I want to be honest with you here about why this works, because there's no magic to it. When you put out something useful every week, two things happen at once. Real people start seeing your name again and again and again until you feel familiar, until you feel like the obvious call. And the AI sees more and more of you in more places saying useful things until you look like exactly the kind of established, trusted name it wants to recommend. Same content, two audiences. One of them's human and one of them is not, but both of them are keeping score. There's a bonus here worth naming. Sometimes one of those videos catches. It gets shared past your town, past your usual reach, and it pulls attention to everything else you've made. And you can't force that. You can't just think you're going to go viral. But the firms that do go viral are never the firms sitting on zero content. Let me add one more angle here, because content doesn't have to be about the law at all. Some of the strongest personal brands have nothing to do with legal advice. They're just you being a decent human in public. I mean, I know a lawyer that drops off food at a homeless shelter a few times a year. He doesn't do it for the cases. He does it because it matters to him. But he brings his kids, he serves the food himself, and he posts about it. And that post does numbers his legal content never touches. Why? Because it's real. People can smell the difference between a photo op and someone who actually shows up. Same with shouting out other people. Point your camera at a local deli you love, a mom and pop shop that's grinding it out, a small business doing good work. Tag them. They'll almost always share it, which drops your name in front of their whole audience, an audience you probably have never reached. You supported someone for no reason other than they deserved it, and it quietly put your name in a brand new place. That's the through line for your whole personal brand. Be useful, be real, be around, do it on camera, do it in your community, and let both the humans and the AI watch you show up over and over again. So here's where part 5 leaves you. The two signals you control most are the ones most firms waste. They print merch nobody wears and they sit silent instead of publishing. Both are votes left uncast. Give people something they're proud to wear, and your name walks your city and posts itself online. Say something useful every week, and you become the familiar name that both the humans and AI recommend. You don't need a bigger budget. You need to stop making forgettable stuff and start making the kind of things people actually carry out into the world for you. We asked ChatGPT, Perplexity, Gemini, and Claude who the best lawyer is across 15 different cities and 25 different practice areas. And then we read the 38,000 answers to see who the AI tools send people to. Across this series, we found they picked the most vouched for name, and we built those votes from clients, from the community, from merch, and from your own content. Now we put it all together, and I have to warn you about the two ways good firms still lose. Here's what's at stake in this last video. You could do everything in this series and still get beaten. Not because the ideas don't work, because you did half of them. You convince yourself that that was enough and you let the other half undone. Both halves have a failure mode, and I've watched good attorneys fall into each. Let me show you what the first trap is. Call it the old school lawyer. This is the attorney who nails the community side and refuses the rest. He sponsors everything. Everyone in town knows him. He's at the parade, the food drive, the youth league. His reputation on the ground is real and it's earned. And he assumes that reputation speaks for itself. He never asks for the link. He never chases the review. He doesn't publish. He figures if he's the guy everyone knows, the internet will just sort of catch up. It won't. And here's the brutal part. The AI can't hear a reputation. It can only read one. If your standing in the community never gets written down somewhere the AI can find it, in reviews, in links, in mentions, then to the AI, it doesn't exist. You can be the most beloved attorney in your city and still be invisible in the answer because you never turned that goodwill into a signal. So the AI recommends the firm down the street, not because that firm is better, because that firm's reputation is seen and yours is trapped in people's heads. That's a heartbreaking way to lose. You did the hardest work, the real work, the community work. You just never wrote it down. Now, the second trap, it's the mirror image. Let's call it the hollow firm. This is the attorney who hears the AI reads signals and tries to fake the signals without doing the work underneath. He buys a stack of directory spots. He chases links with no relationship behind them. He churns out empty content nobody watches. He's trying to look established without becoming established. That's a law firm built on sand. The AI tools are getting sharper every month by telling the difference between a name that's truly woven into a place and a name that just bought some listings. Hollow authority is a short term trick against a system that's getting better at its job on a schedule you don't control. The firm that games it this quarter gets caught next quarter. And even if it worked, think about what happens when the calls come in. You built signals with no substance behind them. So the client shows up and there's no real firm to receive them. The community doesn't know you. The reviews were never earned. You faked your way into the answer and then you couldn't back it up. So one firm has all the substance and no signal. The other has all signal and no substance. Both lose for opposite reasons. The firm that wins does both and treats them as one motion. Here's what they actually looks like in reality. Pulling this whole series together for you. You do the community work and you collect what it's worth. You sponsor the event and you get the link. You win the case and you ask for the review. You go to the coffee and you cross-promote the partner. You make the merch people love and let it get photographed all over town. You answer the weekly question and you spread it everywhere. That's real-world action paired with the signals that it creates. Never one without the other. So let me make this real with two firms because I've watched this exact split play out. We've got two lawyers, same city, same practice area, roughly the same skill. The first is beloved, 20 years in the community, sponsors half of the youth teams. Everyone at the diner knows his name, but he never asks for a review, never gets the link, never posts. His reputation lives entirely in people's heads and in the local air. The second is younger and honestly, a weaker attorney, but she does the full loop, wins a case, asks for a review, sponsors an event, gets the link, answers a question a week on camera, and spreads it everywhere. She goes for the coffee and gets the mentions. Ask AI who the best lawyer in that city is, and it says her name every time. Not because she's better, because she's the one who's written down. The beloved guy is invisible to the one referral source that now talks to the whole town, and he doesn't even know what's happening. That's the trap in a single picture. Don't be the beloved guy nobody can find. That's the reframe that ties every part of this together. The community handshake and the online signal are not two strategies competing for your time. They're the same strategies with two payoffs. The handshake earns the trust. The signal makes that trust legible to an AI that can't shake a hand. Do only the handshakes and you're beloved and invisible. Do only the signals and you're visible and hollow. Do both on purpose as one habit and you become the name that's real on the ground and the answer that AI always says. Let me leave you now where this series started. Somebody in your market asked an AI what attorney to hire this week. The AI named a law firm. The only thing that decides whether it's yours is whether you've become the kind of firm that AI has an honest choice about, and it's the only one they can name. You're woven into the place, written down everywhere that place lives online. You already knew how to do the hard part. The lawyer everyone knows has been doing the hard part for years. The work was always becoming the obvious answer. So don't hear this series as a pile of new work. Hear it as a small addition to the work you're likely already doing. You're probably sponsoring things. Start getting the link. You're probably winning cases. Start asking for the review. You're probably at events. Start putting them online. The habit you're building isn't do more. It's collect what good work you're already doing and showing it off. The lawyer who loses leaves that value on the ground. The lawyer who wins bends down and picks it up every single time. The only thing that changed is who's asking the question now. An AI is asking, and it's going to name someone. Make sure it's you.